especially for so many women that are finding so many diseases young. PCOS, metabolic syndrome, endometriosis, pelvic pain, hysterectomies at young ages that shouldn't be happening.
No.
Tell me a little bit about what you're finding. I mean, you're in Italy, but although you're still global.
Yeah, I'm global. Most of my patients are outside of Italy because Italy is a focaccia, pizza, pasticceria, beer is water. The cheapest beer is cheaper here than water. So where I particularly live, there's a famous Peroni, which is factories nearby here. And literally people start the day with beer and focaccia, and that's all they eat. So south of Italy has the highest rate of juvenile diabetes in the world. So, Mediterranean diet, well, we're not. Greece has the second highest rate of diabetes. So since Americans came over from the US, opening all their fast food chains in Greece, boom, diabetes skyrocketed. So, well, for women, it's really important because then we're going to have to talk about iodine, of course, because people are having hysterectomies because they're not getting enough iodine. So the pill they took when they were, well, they're not supposed to have their period till they're 16 or 17 anyway. And you have these 9-year-olds with precocious menstruation because they're moms and parents. And already we know that diabetes is epigenetic. So a precocious period, if your mom is eating a ton of carbohydrates all the time, has low thyroid, has low iodine, you're probably going to get your period earlier too, because it raises estrogen. Carbohydrates raise estrogen levels to the point of causing endometriosis. That's why Michael Fox, that guy, had success with fertility with the ketogenic diet, just as you do, right? You take a lot of carbohydrates. You want healthy estrogen levels. You don't want unnatural growth estrogen levels. And that's what endometriosis is. Iodine comes in because the thyroid takes potassium iodide, the breasts, the uterus, and the ovaries, and the prostate in males take a boatload of iodine. And that prevents cysts, that prevents fibroids, that prevents anomalous growth.
Diminished ovarian reserve, premature menopause, premature menstrual periods, all those things.
But you also have to take out the carbohydrates, doctor. You can't just do one thing. There's no one magic bullet. It really is the combination of these things that I think that iodine was used so prevalently until 1948, the stupid Wolff-Chaikoff, which they 10 years later admitted that they had basically lied. Iodine was used for hyper and hypothyroidism. It was used so pervasively that some people didn't like. There were no medications being sold. So you really have to include that. And I think that our iodine sources were more prevalent because milk from cows had iodine. So cheese had iodine because the cows' teats were washed with iodine. Now they use chloride. Chloride is a halide, which will interfere with iodine absorption. Fluoride will interfere with iodine absorption. There's so much stuff in our water and everywhere in our food now that will prevent iodine, whereas in the 40s it wouldn't. So you're going to have an increase in iodine deficiency for that reason.
What's the best natural source for iodine? Because ultimately, for the majority of our evolution, we didn't take supplements. So what's the best way for those that want to focus on just the natural forms?
Well, for majority of our evolution, we didn't, but we also, people in Switzerland in the 30s had mental health disabilities, right? It used to be called cretinism. The goiter belt in the U.S. is Tennessee, where my family's from. There are plenty of places where there is no iodine-rich soil where you grow the stuff, and the plants you eat or the cows that graze on it will not have enough iodine to give to us. The main thing, though, is that the source has always been a bit difficult. In 1894, the king of Sardinia and Liguria, so Sardinia is way in the south, well, not way in the south, the sea. It was just not together, right? He was the king of a huge area of northern Italy and this big island, Sardinia. Everybody was iodine deficient. So he in, he mandated that iodine be added to salt. But the problem is that iodine vaporizes. Iodide, it vaporizes right away when you open it. So it wasn't anything that was going to help very much.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen that the iodized salt only prevents goiter. It literally only prevents the thyroid from swelling and asking for more iodine. It's not going to help fibroid cysts, etc. It's not enough. So the RDA is way too small. So I would say in the modern world, there is no adequate source. You take iodine, you take Lugol's iodine. In Japan, obviously, they eat a lot of seaweed. You could say that kelp would be a source, but in today's water, it's also full of mercury.
And the same with fish. You're getting that same contamination from fish.
The smaller fish. Yes. So I would say that I would recommend supplementation. This is the only, I don't recommend supplements. That's the only one I recommend.
So tell me about the Lugols and the recommended use and for people.
Yeah. So Lugol's is in the US, you can buy J. Crow's, which is the oldest purveyor of Lugol's. And now they sort of market it for veterinary uses, and they say do not ingest. But I recommend, and they hide the 5% somewhere on the website. I have the link, but they kind of push the 2% because of everybody saying, "Oh my God, you're selling iodine." So I recommend 5% just because it has more iodine than the 2%, obviously. And I recommend 2 drops minimum. If you have cysts, if you have fibroids, et cetera, you'd need a different protocol. But just the get-go, 2 drops of 5% would be a good idea.
In water and coffee and your food or on your skin?
Yeah. No. On your skin, you can do the patch test. Of course, some of it will evaporate because iodine vaporizes. But in water, in a gelatin cap, if you hate the taste, a lot of people put it in coffee. I'm not putting it in my coffee because I got good butter in my coffee. But some people find the taste terrible. Some people light up when they taste it, and they really feel
So is this daily, a daily use?
Daily.